Brother E, what's your lingering regret? Hmm. We were together for 10 years. I worked, she went to school. And then, then the wheat I planted became bread I couldn't afford. When I was little, Grandma used to say we were often put in the same basket. That must be when we met. Her family was very poor, dirt poor, the kind of poor that silences you. Her parents were simple, honest farmers. She inherited their honesty, always kept her head down, timidly avoiding others, afraid of bumping into anyone and provoking a scolding or beating. Only when she was with me would she speak a little, carefully watching my expression as she talked. Back then, she always liked following me around, timidly calling me brother. The girl was frail and often bullied by the village kids. Cowering in a corner, she'd look at me with those big, moist eyes full of pleading. Every time I saw her large, fawn-like eyes, I felt I had to protect this little sister. Sigh, young love wasn't simple. It was on the way home from school, her struggling to help me carry my heavy school bag, following behind me, watching me joke around with classmates, smiling. It was me using my saved pocket money to secretly buy her notebooks, then grandly stuffing them in her hand, telling her, use them freely. When you run out, brother will buy you more. It was the white rabbit candy she secretly popped in my mouth every time my dad beat me, a luxury she herself couldn't bear to eat. High school 2009. By then, the girl had blossomed into a young woman, her features as pretty as a painting, her figure graceful. What hadn't changed was her timidity and meekness, the restlessness of adolescence. Inevitably, we fell in love. No dramatic pursuits, no game of chase. It just happened naturally, logically. It felt destined. We were meant to be together. Heaven favors the humble. The world treasures a clear evening sky. The day she confessed was likely one of the few brave moments in her life. On the way home, the girl stopped me, looked up, lips slightly pursed, and asked tentatively, Jiang Tianyi, can I like you? The next moment, her courage vanished. She lowered her head, hands clasped, fingers twisting restlessly, as if expecting my rejection any second. A long moment passed with no reply. The girl timidly raised her head, stealing a glance at me with those big, moist eyes. What was wrong with me then? I must have been stunned by her sudden question. I liked her. Always had. When I realized it was her confession, I nodded excitedly, grinning like an idiot. Just like that, on a simple summer afternoon. With just that one sentence, our decade-long love began. No one taught us what love was supposed to be like, and we were both clumsy. After getting together, things didn't seem much different. Still walked to school together, walked home together every day. As time went on, maybe there were slight differences. Caring about each other's feelings, the urge to stick together, thinking of each other after school, the sudden pause in conversation, the flutter of hearts as we looked at each other. Back then, we sincerely and awkwardly wanted to pour out everything we had for the other. Autumn winds began to rise, scattering leaves everywhere, our first time holding hands. Suppressing the fluttering in my heart, I tentatively reached out a trembling hand, gently hooking her little finger. Her hand trembled too as she nervously squeezed back. Only when our fingers interlaced, the warmth spreading from our palms, did the timid fear of that first touch subside. North winds howled, a world blanketed in snow, our first embrace. Drawing warmth from each other's bodies, holding on tight, wanting to hold closer, even closer. She was good, always top of her class, much better than me. It was thanks to her pulling and dragging me along all those years that I even got into the county's key high school. In our final year of high school, we studied without distractions, completely focused. Poverty spurred us on, driving us to strive and change our fate. We wanted to get out, wanted to hold hands, and see the vast world outside together. We weren't children from the big cities. Since birth, we had always been the ones being chosen. June 25th, 2012, the day the results came out. We arranged to go to the internet cafe in town. Along the way, both of us were filled with nervous apprehension. Unsurprisingly, the girl did very well, 642 points. This score was enough for Nanda University, the place she'd always wanted to go. I scored 573 points, which was also pretty good, but definitely not enough for Nanda. But it didn't matter. I still had my second choice. Tsinghua University, was also an option. At least it wasn't far from Nanda. The two cities were right next to each other. On the way back to the village, the girl's spirits were low. Head down, she followed silently behind me. I asked her what was wrong, but she wouldn't say. After dinner, I still felt uneasy. This wasn't how the girl usually was. Could it be disappointment because I couldn't go to Nanda? I had to go see her. When I reached her door, voices came from inside the house. Daughter, break up with Jiang Tianyi. You have a bright future ahead. You'll go far. Listen to your mother. How could I possibly harm you? You know our family situation. It's already a struggle just to pay for your education. If you don't break up with him, your mother won't support you anymore. The girl's father sat on the doorstep, smoking. When he saw me, his face filled with guilt and despondency. The girl hadn't said a word, just listening to her mother ramble on. I called out, "Uncle." The girl's father responded somewhat awkwardly. Hearing my voice, the girl suddenly rushed out of the house and, right in front of her parents, hugged me tightly. We sat side by side on the slope of the small hill. Gazing at the starry sky, neither of us said a word. After a long silence, I let out a heavy sigh. Let's break up. Listen to your mom. The girl turned her head, her eyes red as she looked at me. She bit her lip, reached out, and hugged me tightly. No, then I'll go work, and you go to university. No. I shook my head helplessly, gently stroking the girl in my arms. Then I'll work while I study. We'll get through these 4 years together. MHM. The girl held me tighter. Nestled in my arms, she answered softly. August 20th, 2012. The day I left Guanyin village. Mom and Dad came to see me off. The girl's father came too. He looked like he wanted to say something, but in the end, just covered his face guiltily and limped away. Life is never easy for anyone, especially not for a man with an old injury and a lame leg. The most he could do for the family was to not cause any more trouble for his wife, who was struggling alone to support them. But no one loved his daughter more than he did. In the end, the girl didn't get the money. Carrying an old school bag and pitifully little luggage, she came with me to Nansha. I took the girl to register at Nanda, paid her tuition and accommodation fees, and then I left. The girl saw me off at the station. She didn't say anything the whole way. No matter how I tried to cheer her up, she just looked at me, her eyes red. Until the train started moving, she ran alongside it, shouting to me through the window, "Xiao E.G., I miss you already." The longing felt just before parting is the most intense. I didn't say it out loud, but I was starting to miss her too. Once at Qingda, I began a hectic life. Applying for student loans, seeking work-study positions, finding part-time jobs off campus. My schedule was completely packed. I had originally thought that since our universities were close, we'd be able to see each other often. But we didn't see each other even once until the winter break. Instead, every night, dragging my exhausted body, I'd lean against the glass of a public phone booth, and we'd pour out our hearts to each other. The girl said she wanted to get a job too, but I refused. Naive and gentle, it was better if she could face the world a little later. Although I didn't have much means, I still wanted to give her the most stable life I could. During the winter break, I went to Nansha to pick up the girl and take her home. The moment she threw herself into my arms, all the hardships and grievances I had endured over the past 6 months felt worth it. Back home, Mom and Dad looked at me, darker and thinner, their eyes full of heartache. I didn't say anything. I couldn't let them have opinions about Yadu. She was their future daughter-in-law. Conflicts between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law are common in Guanyin village, but without exception, those families live in chaos. During the New Year, I didn't go to Yada's house. Her mother doesn't like me. She thinks her daughter will have a bright future, that she'll meet someone better. Only then would her efforts be worthwhile. Perhaps no one would give so much for Yadu without expecting anything in return, except me. Yadu and I met every day at the village entrance on the mountain by the river. She always liked to lean against my chest, gazing towards Nan's city. She said a bright future awaited us there, hers and mine. I murmured in agreement, listening as she ceaselessly described our future life together. I wanted to comfort her. Her mother must have been putting a lot of pressure on her at home every day. Whenever I tried to bring it up, Yada would place her fingers on my lips, stopping me from speaking. "Shall we go? I will be steadfast. You don't need to worry about anything." Those words gave me immense encouragement. After the New Year, I said goodbye to my parents and to Yadu. I boarded the train back to Qing City alone. I needed to go back early to work, to strive for the beautiful future she described for her and me. During my junior year of university, Yatu came to Qing City to find me. Looking at me, tanned dark by the sun, her eyes filled with heartache. Sitting outside KFC, she gently caressed my face, smiling contentedly. Eat slowly, shall we go? I still have plenty of scholarship money. If it's not enough, I'll go buy more. I nodded haphazardly, but didn't dare slow down. I had a part-time job waiting for me in the afternoon. Shall we go? I've been accepted into the postgraduate program. Do you think I should still go? Swallowing the chicken chunk whole, I said, go. Why wouldn't you? You're so outstanding. Yada smiled. But I don't want to go anymore. You're working too hard. Now I get a scholarship every year. You don't have to work so hard. That won't do. Your mom is so snobbish. If I want to marry you in the future, I can't be missing a house, a car, or the bride price. I have to earn enough money while I'm young. It was time. I stood up. Yada stood up too, came in front of me, and gently traced my eyebrows and eyes over and over with her hand. Go on. I'll wait for you. Come back early after work. I nodded. That evening, I returned to the hotel on campus where Yada was staying. Although I felt bad about the cost, the ones on campus were clean. Expensive but clean. Yada told me to go shower, saying she had already washed up. She pushed me into the bathroom. I was still feeling dazed. It wasn't until I came out and saw Yado standing bravely before me that I knew what she intended to do. Take me, shall we go? I hurriedly picked her up and tucked her into the quilt. I got into bed and held her tightly from behind. Silly girl, we have to wait until we're married. What if someday you regret this? Impossible. I didn't say anything more, just held her tighter. Yada struggled to turn around and look me in the eyes. She kissed my lips, and my mind went blank. Lips and teeth met. Two inexperienced people, clumsy yet passionate. Walking out of the hotel the next day, I was relieved that Yadu was still a virgin. I saw Yadu off on the train to Nan City. Through the window, she pouted and complained to me. This trip was for nothing. I smiled. How could it be for nothing? Didn't you want to see me? Yada deliberately turned her head away, pretending not to look at me. I quite liked it when she acted playfully coy like this. Yada seemed more alive like this. Until the train started moving. Yada said to me with tears in her eyes, shall we go next time? Next time you can't refuse again. I nodded and ran alongside the train for a long time. Our clasped hands only let go when my steps faltered. September 1st, 2016. Yada started her postgraduate studies. I had graduated and successfully found a job in Nan City. The one-bedroom rental was clean and tidy. Looking at the small 20-square-meter place, I felt a great sense of accomplishment. It was a temporary little nest for me and the girl. Life was busy, but very happy, because I knew every day after work, someone would have dinner ready, waiting for me at home. In this bustling city, I had my own sense of belonging. Every month, I handed over my salary on time. What could I do? The girl was the one managing our finances. She never spent money recklessly, nor did she ever envy the affluent lives of others. Occasionally, I would ask her, haven't you ever had other thoughts? Seeing your classmates living lives of luxury, don't you feel envious? The girl would always smile, shake her head, and tell me firmly, never. Every evening after dinner, we would always hold each other, lying in bed, looking at the starry sky, dreaming about our future. We would put down roots in Nan City, hold a grand wedding, and loudly tell everyone that we were together. We would also have a child. Let him grow up in Nan City, give him the best educational resources, so he wouldn't have to live a life without choices like us. His childhood would only be filled with his parents' endless love and happiness. For 3 years, I worked hard, desperately even, and my position rose quickly. My boss often smiled and said to me, Jiang Tianyi, how come you love working more than I, the boss, do? Anyone who didn't know better would think this is your company, your business. I just smiled without saying anything. Boss, how could you understand someone who is always clinging to a lifeline, desperately trying to climb up? I didn't dare let go. If I let go, my happy life, the beautiful future with my girl would all be gone. I would fall into an abyss. The girl worked hard too. Her grades were always the best. On the day she graduated with her master's degree, it happened to be the day I was promoted to department supervisor. We planned to celebrate together when I got home that evening. As soon as work ended, I rushed home, so excited. The girl had been interning in whose city for half a year, and she was coming back today. I hadn't seen my girl in 6 months. After work, I ran home excitedly. I was sure the girl must have dinner ready and be waiting for me. But what awaited me was only a cold, empty home and a letter left on the table. This is when things started to go wrong. Rushing home excitedly, I didn't see the person who always waited for me at the door with slippers. I called out twice, but only empty echoes answered me. Seeing the steaming hot food on the table, with a letter placed beside it, I opened the letter. The girl said she had left, telling me not to look for her, that she had found the life she wanted. She apologized to me for delaying me for so many years. She asked me to let her go. At the end of the letter, she said she had left my salary card. She hadn't touched a cent of the money in it. I saw the salary card pressed under the envelope. That day, I sat silently at the dining table all night. I couldn't understand why. We were clearly so close to happiness. The next morning, I asked my boss for leave. My boss agreed without even asking why. He teased me, saying I should have taken a break long ago. I sat numbly at the dining table, cried in grief, laughed mockingly at myself. This outcome invalidated all my past efforts. It made me feel like my life these past years had been a joke. The morning after, I stood up from the dining table, the strength seeming to drain from my body in an instant. Just like that, I lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling for a long, long time. In the afternoon, I managed to stand up, forcing myself to eat the food that had gone cold and lost its flavor. I went to Nan University, asking her professors and classmates, but no one knew where she had gone. Countless times I took out my phone, wanting to call her, send her a message, but the girl's resolute words in the letter reminded me to maintain dignity, to be graceful. Alone, I walked through the Nan University campus, the library, the artificial lake, the soccer field, the tree-lined paths. I revisited all the places I had been with Yadu over these years, recalling every little moment we shared, recalling our 10 years together. Is there a difference between memories and a maze? The answer is yes. A maze at least has an exit. Memories do not. Those trapped in memories can never get out. A week later, I went to the company and submitted my resignation. My boss didn't understand. My colleagues tried to persuade me to stay. But my mind was made up. This place held too many memories for me, memories that were tearing me apart. Without Yatu in Nan City, without my sense of belonging, all the prosperity here seemed desolate in my eyes. When I left Nan City, I retraced the paths Yadu and I had walked hand in hand over the years. It was remembrance, farewell, regret. Perhaps all of them. August 3rd, 2019. I returned to Guanyin Village, back to the place I had always dreamed of escaping. But now, I had no choice but to return. Besides my parents, I couldn't find any other way back home. I locked myself in my room for a day and a night. When I stood before my parents again, their worried eyes and the white hair at their temples reminded me that there were still 2 people in this world who loved me unconditionally. I managed to pull myself together. I started wandering around the village, looking for something to do. By chance, I ran into Yada's father. I asked him where Yada had gone. He said Yadu had come back half a month ago, gave her mother 300,000 yuan, and then left. As for where she went, Yada didn't say. After saying this, he looked at me, seeming hesitant to say more. But I didn't notice the conflicted look on his face. Back home, I stared blankly at Yada's chat window, wanting to say something but lacking the courage. I could only peek at her Moments feed like a thief. But Yada hadn't changed. She never posted on her Moments feed. On her Moments feed, there was only one solitary photo. It was a photo of us at the train station the day I arrived in Nan City. Looking at the photo, looking at Yadu, smiling brightly in it, my heart felt like it was being sliced by a knife. For a fleeting moment, I felt the urge to send her a message. But in the end, I lost my nerve. I want to know the answer, but I was afraid of knowing the answer. Perhaps the answer is what hurts the most. I had to keep myself busy, couldn't let myself waste away, trapped in memories. As long as you're willing to take the first step, there will always be a way forward. Life has never been a one-way street. Maybe I've been rushing too much these past years. never realizing that life was actually a vast wilderness. My childhood friend, Wang Tao, wanted to build a pig farm in the village. When I found Wang Tao, we hit it off immediately. I provided the money, he provided the land, we hired a technician, and just like that, the pig farm was up and running. Although there were only 20 pigs, it at least kept me busy and alive. I practically threw myself into the pig farm every day, almost masochistically. The busy life helped me temporarily forget Yadu. My parents were very happy to see me getting back on my feet. Since I came back, they never asked exactly what had happened. But they must have guessed. Evening of August 2nd, 2020. As usual, I opened my phone, looked at Yada's profile picture, checked her Moments feed. Suddenly, there was an update. The day after tomorrow at 3 p.m., Wang Yu and I will be holding our engagement ceremony at the Lido Hotel. All friends are welcome to join us. In that moment, my heart tore apart again. It had been a year since the abrupt breakup. I thought I had moved on, but I hadn't. During a sleepless night, I kept comforting myself, telling myself I should be happy for her, proud of her. At least she was now living the life she wanted. Early the next morning, I cleaned myself up. I wanted to see her, see how she looked in a wedding dress, even if it wasn't for me. When I arrived in Whose City, I checked into the Lido Hotel, waiting for the engagement ceremony the next day. In my mind, I pictured over and over again how Yada would look in a wedding dress. A smile on my lips, tears streamed down uncontrollably. I kept comforting myself silently. The flower has bloomed. Even if not for me, she is still the most beautiful. When I walked into the hall, I saw Yatu in her wedding dress at first glance. She was more beautiful than before and carried herself with more grace. Beaming, she held the arm of a man, handsome and dashing. This was good. When Yada saw me, her eyes clearly froze for a moment. She quickly let go of the man and walked towards me. We stood at the entrance, facing each other in silence. Finally, she struggled to lift her head, her large, moist eyes filled with tears. Xiao Ego, I'm sorry. I shook my head, stopping her from saying more. I just came to see you, to see if you're doing well. If you're happy, I can rest easy. The moment I turned to leave, Yata grabbed my arm. Xiao Ego, I wish you happiness. I wanted to cover her mouth, but such an action was too intimate for us now. Yato, don't be so cruel. You can't. You can wish me wealth, career success, good health. Wish me anything you want to wish, but you cannot wish me happiness. Yada let go of my hand, tears falling like pearls from a broken string. Seeing her fiancé walking towards us, I hurriedly left. I had no right to be standing there. Since that day, Yadu and I have never met again. Xiao Ego, is this your lingering regret? Yes. I didn't expect you Wanxing to be that kind of person. All right, the story's finished. Let's get back to work. Seeing the indignant look on Wang Tao's face, I laughed, reached out with my hand covered in pig manure, and smeared some on his face. We started laughing and roughhousing. My story is finished. But Yada's story was just beginning. My name is Yuan Xing. Everyone calls me Wanxing, but only Dad and Xiao Ego call me Yadu. They're the people who love me most in this world. Since I was little, I loved following Xiao Ego around because he was the only one who didn't bully me and even protected me. I felt that meeting Xiao Ego was the greatest luck of my life. In high school, I started developing different feelings for Xiao Ego. At that time, these feelings tormented me so much I couldn't eat or sleep. Later, I learned from romance novels that these feelings were called a secret crush. The books said having a secret crush was shameful. If you love someone, you should bravely confess. Not wanting to be shameful, I gathered my courage and confessed to Xiao Ego. When I didn't get a response, my heart was instantly filled with disappointment. But when he kept nodding, I was almost overwhelmed by the sudden happiness. So happiness really does have a color. The moment he nodded, the world in my eyes turned blue. And blue happens to be my favorite color. After we got together, my heart finally settled. From then on, Xiao Ego was mine. I wanted to follow behind him always, always. The first time holding hands, the first hug, physical contact made my scalp tingle and sent shivers down my spine. This feeling was addictive. So I always liked initiating physical contact with Xiao Ego, intentionally or unintentionally. I thought, if we could just walk on like this for a lifetime, It would be wonderful. But things don't always go as planned. Xiao Iga didn't get into Nanda. This meant we would have to face separation. But Xiao Iga didn't know. Mom had already told me that if he didn't get into Nanda, he and I had to break up. When Mom proposed that Xiao Iga and I separate, I said nothing. Even if I had to break my word or act shamelessly, I couldn't separate from Xiao Iga. No one else in this world would love me like he did. Even if Mom wouldn't pay my tuition, I couldn't separate from Xiao Iga. Worst case, I just wouldn't go to university. But Xiao Iga didn't disappoint me. How could he ever disappoint me? He took me away from Guanyin village, away from Jiangchen. He paid my tuition fees and told me to study hard at university, not to worry about money, that he would take care of it. I believed him. Anything he said, I believed. But when I went home for the winter break, seeing little brother tanned and thinner, my heart ached terribly. It was all my fault. Given his family situation, he wouldn't have had to work so hard. Back at school, I tried discussing with little brother whether I could get a part-time job. He refused without hesitation. Fortunately, I won a first-class scholarship, so at least the tuition money was covered. I didn't have friends at school. I didn't fit in with those city classmates. Some of them wanted to befriend me, wanted to be nice to me. But I refused them all because I saw pity in their eyes. I didn't need anyone's pity. I had little brother. After getting the scholarship, the first thing I did was share the good news with little brother E. He was very happy and encouraged me to keep up the good work. I promised I would. Actually, I also wanted to tell him, you don't have to work so hard anymore. I have the tuition money now. In the second semester of my junior year, because of my excellent grades, I was accepted into the postgraduate program without needing to take the entrance exam. I wasn't keen on pursuing postgraduate studies. I wanted to start working sooner, to strive together with little brother E to build our future. But when I went to Qing City to find little brother, unsurprisingly, he rejected my idea without hesitation. Looking at his skin, tanned dark from hard work, that tearing pain struck me again. I made up my mind to give myself to him. After all, I didn't want anyone but him. But in the hotel room, I gathered my courage and revealed myself to him completely. Little brother E, however, picked me up and tucked me in a bed. He gently traced my eyebrows and eyes with his hand and softly told me, only when we're married. I was a little confused. How is this different from what the book said? Weren't men supposed to be unable to control themselves? Gradually, I started to get angry. Did he find me undesirable? So I kissed him forcefully. That dizzying sensation intoxicated me. That night, curled up in his arms, I slept more soundly than ever before. When I left, I resolved that next time, I would definitely give myself to him. After little brother E graduated, he came to Nan City. He rented an apartment, and I moved in with him. Those were the 3 happiest years of my life. We lived like husband and wife. As the wife, I would cook dinner after my classes each day, waiting for my husband to come home from work. After dinner, I would snuggle in his arms, and together we would dream about the future. We had endless things to talk about. Even after being together for so long, we never tired of talking. He still refused to take me, but being able to curl up in his arms every day satisfied me. In the second semester of my 3rd year of postgraduate studies, I faced the issue of employment. Initially, I studied finance because I thought I could get a job in a bank after graduation, which seemed like a very respectable job. But after starting university, I realized, without connections or outstanding abilities, which bank would want someone like me? Those positions were already reserved for others long ago. I became very anxious. If things continued like this, wouldn't I be unemployed after graduation? By chance, I met Wang Yu from the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. He was also in his 3rd year of postgraduate studies and was the captain of the university basketball team. He was handsome, and I heard many girls liked him. The first time I saw him, I was a bit surprised. He was really handsome and had a sunny disposition. After getting acquainted, our relationship was purely platonic. At that time, I was worrying about finding an internship. I couldn't talk to little brothery about this. He couldn't help me, and I couldn't shift my worries onto him. He was already so tired. So, during a casual chat, I mentioned this to Wang Yu. He looked at me deeply for a moment, then tentatively asked, Yuan Xing, would you be willing to work in whose city? I hesitated. A 6-month internship in Nan City would be fine, but in whose city, it meant I would have to leave little brother E for half a year. I didn't agree immediately. I just asked him to wait. telling him I needed to discuss it with my boyfriend. Wang Yu nodded in agreement. When I got home, I told Xiao Yigu about it. After hearing it, Xiao Yigu was very supportive. He said Shanghai is a financial center, there are more opportunities there, and I would definitely make a name for myself. I gave a somewhat bitter smile. That's my Xiao Yigu. His thoughts are always about how I can become better. But I don't want to make a name for myself, Xiao Yigu. I just want to stay by your side for a simple lifetime together. The next day, I found Wang Yu and told him I could go to Shanghai. He made a phone call right in front of me. In less than a minute, he told me, it's settled. An internship at Citibank. I was stunned. A bank that so many people fight tooth and nail to get into. And he settled it in less than a minute? Wang Yu smiled and told me, once you enter society, resources and connections are the most important things. Burying your head in books is useless. You need to lift your head and look at the world. At that moment, I admired him a little. His way of thinking was so much more mature than ours. On the night of farewell, I again asked Xiao Yigu to take me, but he still shook his head, smiled, and pinched my nose, saying, I want to see you walk down the aisle hole. I was very touched, yet also a little angry. Asking him again and again like this made me feel shameless. Early the next morning, Xiao Yigu took me to the station. As we parted, my eyes were full of reluctance. Suddenly, I didn't want to go anymore. If worst comes to worst, after graduation, I could just find a clerical job to get by. Anyway, I have Xiao Yigu. He would support me. But looking at his thin figure, I ultimately couldn't bear it. He works too hard. I have to help share his burden. When I arrived in Shanghai, Wang Yu came to the station to pick me up. He took me to a villa, saying it was his family's property and I could stay there without worry. I refused, insisting on finding my own place. But Wang Yu told me to take out my phone and search for apartments near Citibank to see how much the rent was. When I saw the staggering numbers, I gave in. I had thought Xiao Yigu's salary was already very high, but his salary was barely enough for 1 month's rent here. I asked tentatively, aren't there any studio apartments for rent nearby? Wang Yu smiled and told me to search for myself. No, not a single one. If a studio apartment were listed, it would probably be rented out immediately. And so, with an uneasy heart, I moved into the villa arranged by Wang Yu. Back then, I naively thought that when I became successful in the future, I would definitely repay this favor. Besides Xiao Yigu, I couldn't owe anyone anything. After I started working, Wang Yu would occasionally come find me and take me to dinner gatherings. He said these were all future connections for me, that I needed to integrate into these circles and cultivate my own network. I didn't quite understand, but when I saw our bank's manager greeting Wang Yu politely at the dinner table, I knew he was right. After attending that dinner gathering, the manager looked out for me. The manager, who previously wouldn't even glance at an intern like me, now smiled at me every time we met. I would smile back. Wang Yu showed me what capability meant and what circles meant. With just one phone call, he could arrange for the kind of sports car you only see on TV to be parked in front of me. He would drive me to restaurants where it was usually impossible to get a reservation. He could also, during the critical period for my permanent position confirmation, change my prospective lobby manager role into a fund manager position with a single phone call. Although both were manager positions, the difference between them was self-evident. This was a whole new world for me. I felt like I was living in a dream every day. 3 months later, I was directly offered a permanent position, without even having to wait until graduation. When my first month's salary was deposited into my account, my initial anticipation turned into surprise. It was simply too much, so much that I couldn't believe it was real. I didn't even dare to share this good news with Xiao Yigu. I was afraid he would misunderstand me. When Wang Yu offered to teach me how to drive, I agreed without a second thought. I wanted to give Xiao Yigu a surprise. When I go back to Nanshur, I want to buy a car and drive it to pick him up from work. Then I'll solemnly place the keys in his hands and tell him he won't have to wake up early to squeeze onto the subway anymore. Wang Yu taught me how to drive, hands-on, although I felt awkward and disliked his touch. But I wasn't so old-fashioned as to fall out with him just because he touched my hand. After all, these actions are normal when driving. Just like that, Wang Yu always found opportunities to get close to me, occasionally initiating seemingly unintentional physical contact. I was getting annoyed, but I didn't know how to bring it up. Perhaps the cowardice deep inside me made me accustomed to passively accepting things. The 4th month, in Hooching. Wang Yu helped me close a big deal. I was very happy and offered to treat him to a meal. He readily agreed. Actually, Wang Yu had treated me to meals many times during these 4 months. Although I refused most of them, I did go a few times. I wanted to treat him back, but my intern salary really couldn't support treating him to that kind of place. Now that I got paid, I could finally return the favor. That day, it was just the two of us. Wang Yu drank a lot, but I didn't drink. Normally, I don't touch alcohol. Even during social events for work, Wang Yu was usually by my side, and no one would pressure me to drink. Wang Yu was clearly drunk. I supported him as we walked out. This action repulsed me. It felt too intimate. Taking advantage of his drunkenness, Wang Yu breathed alcohol fumes into my ear and said, "You Wanqing, can't you tell I like you?" Of course I could tell, but I didn't like him. I only liked Xiao Ge. "Wang Yu, you're drunk. Go home and rest." I stuffed Wang Yu into the car. The look he gave me was strange, carrying a sense of being certain to get what he wanted. Back at the villa, I quickly called Xiao Ge. I don't know why, I just wanted to talk to him. We talked late into the night. Even though we had been together for 10 years and the distance between us had grown, we still had endless things to talk about. After talking with Xiao Ge, I felt much better. The next day, I threw myself into work, full of energy. I started deliberately distancing myself from Wang Yu, even enrolling myself in driving school. When going out for work-related social events, I wouldn't inform him anymore, even if it meant being forced to drink a glass or two. I didn't want to give him any opportunity. At the end of June, I had to go back to school to complete my thesis defense and collect my graduation certificate. My mother's phone call changed everything. On the phone, my mother cried, saying Dad's leg condition had relapsed. The doctor recommended amputation. The cost would be around 100,000. If not amputated, saving the leg would require surgery plus long-term medication and rehabilitation. The cost would be 300,000. If it were 100,000, Xiao Ge and I could probably scrape it together. But would Dad accept it? The moment I hung up, I sat on the bay window, hugging my knees, looking out at the bustling night view of Hooching. I suddenly understood. I had reached an age where money was needed for everything. My youth ended with that phone call. Time would only pass faster and faster. I no longer had the pride of always being first in exams, nor could I hide behind Xiao Ge forever. Life hadn't gotten better just because I was sensible or timid. These 4 months in Hooching had taught me the rules of the game, taught me what kind of person gets a seat at the table. The real problem was right in front of me. I had to save my father's leg. For my precarious family, I could only do everything within my power, and even what was beyond my power. Life is nothing but trade-offs. I called Wang Yu. I asked him for 500,000. Wang Yu was silent on the other end for a long time before speaking. "Wanqing, I can give you this 500,000, but do you know what this means?" Now, it was my turn to be silent. I understand. As I struggled to say those 2 words, I knew there was no turning back. "Xiao Yi, I'm sorry I sold myself." After taking the 500,000 from Wang Yu, I didn't linger. I went straight home. I gave Mom 300,000, told her to call me if it wasn't enough, and then turned and left without going to the hospital to see Dad. I don't hate him, but I couldn't bring myself to see him. In the afternoon, I arrived in Nan City, but I didn't go home. Instead, I hid in the stairwell of the rented apartment building, like a despicable voyeur, watching Xiao Yi drag his tired steps home from work. At night, I sat on a bench by the roadside, watching the lights turn on in the apartment and Xiao Yi's busy figure moving inside. Even after the lights went out, I couldn't bring myself to leave, just staring fixedly in the direction of home. I hoped Xiao Yi would open the window and see me downstairs, but when he actually did open it for some air, I shamefully crouched down below the bench. Early the next morning, I hid in a concealed spot and watched him leave. After the night, his figure stood so tall, his steps towards a morning sun so firm. Just as he was about to disappear from sight, I could barely control the urge to call out to him, but I didn't know how to face him. After he left, I opened the door, lay down on the bed, and greedily breathed in his scent. 10 years. Today is our final chapter. I lay prone on the bed, crying until I almost fainted. The love I had won back with the first act of courage in my life. I couldn't bear to let him go. In the afternoon, I pulled myself up and packed my things. I carefully prepared dinner for him. Against my own heart, I wrote a final letter, left his salary car behind, and walked out resolutely. I didn't leave immediately. I want to see him one last time. I hid in a dark corner, my heart shattering, watching him run eagerly towards home. Yes, today was my graduation day, the day we had agreed to celebrate. How could he forget? The lights never turned on. Darkness enveloped him, and it enveloped my heart too. I couldn't watch anymore. I almost couldn't stop myself from rushing up there. I hailed a taxi and went straight to the airport. The plane cut through the Nan City night. Farewell, my love. The day I returned to Hu City, I made things official with Wang Yu. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to stop myself from going back. That night, Wang Yu stayed at the villa. There was no passion, no excitement. Wang Yu acted very casually, as if simply taking possession of an item that belonged to him. I endured the pain, silently bearing it. In my heart, I couldn't help thinking that if it were Xiao Yi, he would never be like this. He would care about my feelings. He would be so considerate it felt like devotion. Having this relationship, my heart began to unconsciously lean towards Wang Yu. After all, I was his now. No matter what, I should be good to him. So be it. I resigned myself to fate, forcing myself to forget Xiao Yi. Anyway, I was no longer worthy of him. Wang Yu was very good to me. He bought me luxury goods, and my life changed drastically. At first, I felt a bit out of place, but with his encouragement, I gradually dared to go out dressed fashionably. He also gave me a car, and my position at the bank kept getting promoted. Although there was still someone I constantly thought about, this life of luxury and indulgence gradually numbed me. Let it be this way. It's quite good too, isn't it? Whenever I sent money home, my usually harsh mother became gentle and kind, starting to ask if I'd eaten breakfast or if I was dressed warmly. Only Dad's hesitant words, trailing off whenever he took the phone, made me unconsciously think of Guanyin Village. Think of that person. Every time I couldn't stop myself from wanting to ask about his recent situation, I would put the phone down, warning myself, don't think about him anymore. You belong to someone else now. Later, I stopped calling home altogether. I wanted to escape my own heart. A year later, Wang Yu proposed to me. I accepted. He took my phone, posted on my moments, saying any classmates and friends who saw it should come. But he didn't know I didn't have any friends from college at all. After posting on moments, the blessings received were few. Would Brother Xiaoyi see it? Probably not. After all, it's been a year, and he hasn't contacted me. Maybe he forgot about me long ago and started a new relationship. He's so outstanding, so brilliant. But I despicably wished he was still single. I even hoped he could come to my engagement party, just so I could see him again, even though that would be too cruel to him. But unexpectedly, Brother Xiaoyi really came. He was wearing a well-fitting suit, looking very proper, more mature than before, and thinner too. Without hesitation, I ditched Wang Yu beside me and walked quickly towards him. In my mind, I kept tracing his features. Standing before him, we locked eyes for a long time. In the end, I was defeated and lowered my head. 1,000 words were stuck in my chest, but in the end, all I could say was I'm sorry. When Brother Xiaoyi said he just came to see if I was doing well, I couldn't hold back anymore. I wished him happiness, but he said, wish him anything but happiness. Yes, the happiness he wanted was always given by me, but I was also the one who personally destroyed it. He left, hastily, as if he had never appeared. I let my tears ruin my carefully applied makeup. Wang Yu looked towards the door, somewhat puzzled, and asked me what was wrong. I just shook my head, unable to utter a word. I forced myself to get through the engagement ceremony. I returned to the villa alone, refusing Wang Yu's offer to take me home. So tired, heart-weary. How wonderful it would be if none of that had happened. Lying in bed, I greedily thought of Brother Xiaoyi. Was I too greedy? This current life is also my choice, isn't it? The next day, I confessed everything to Wang Yu, and promised I would definitely forget Brother Xiaoyi and be with him wholeheartedly. I said it, and I did it. From that day on, I treated Wang Yu even better. Our relationship warmed up quickly, but half a year later, he grew increasingly cold towards me, started distancing himself, stopped seeking me out. I didn't know what I did wrong. I tried to communicate with him, but he was always impatient. He started fooling around outside, laughing and talking with other girls. I was mentally and physically exhausted, juggling work while trying to coax Wang Yu to settle down. I humbled myself to the point of buying lingerie for the girls he found, even delivering condoms to him at hotels. Back then, I naively thought getting married would fix everything, that men are just overgrown children who would settle down after marriage. But what came was the news of Wang Yu marrying someone else. That day, I lost my mind and went to the wedding venue to cause a huge scene. Wang Yu's parents' faces turned livid. They'd only recently returned to the country and had no idea I existed. In the end, Wang Yu gave me a check for 500,000 yuan and told me to get lost. Only then did I realize the so-called engagement was a sham, never approved by his parents. I really wanted to throw the check back in his face with dignity, but thinking about my father's ongoing treatment costs, I ultimately swallowed the humiliation and left. Retribution came swiftly. Wang Yu's father felt he lost face because I caused a scene at the wedding. With just one word from him, I lost my job at the bank. I was also kicked out of the villa. Having gotten used to a life of luxury and decadence, I didn't want to leave Shanghai just like that. I was captivated by everything here. Soon after, I met a man. He was 12 years older than me. When we first got together, I didn't know he had a family. After finding out, I couldn't leave him either. He treated me very well, bought me an apartment, and gave me a lot of money. It didn't matter that I couldn't get marriage. At least I got money. After every passionate encounter, I would sit on the bay window, smoking a slim cigarette. I couldn't help but think mockingly, I must be what others call a gold digger, a kept woman now. It seems that after leaving Brother Xiaoyi, every step I took went astray. Thinking of Brother Xiaoyi, my heart still aches uncontrollably. But I'm tainted now. Even thinking about him feels like a desecration. Those who betray a sincere heart will swallow 1,000 needles. Yes, I got my retribution. A car accident cost me an eye and left a shocking scar on my face. The man was driving the car. He was fine, just minor scrapes. He visited me once in a hospital, left $1 million, and never came back. I knew what he meant. I was no longer that naive, timid, stubbornly devoted girl. No fights, no contacting him. I checked myself out of the hospital alone. On July 1st, 2022, I left Hu City and returned to Guanyin Village. I locked myself in my room, drew the curtains, lying down all day, sleepless all night. Facing the mirror, the reflection was ugly and strange. A voice repeatedly echoed in my mind, "Just die." On July 30th, 2022, I swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills, lay calmly in bed, serenely facing the impending outcome. In the moment before consciousness faded, I seemed to see someone rushing in frantically. It looked like Xiao Yige. How nice. I woke again, greeted by the sight of a stark white ceiling. I felt my hand being held. Turning my head, I met Xiao Yige's eyes, red from crying. I quickly burrowed under the covers, begging him not to look at me. I could face anyone with this face, including my parents, but I didn't dare face Xiao Yige. His voice was still so gentle. "Girl, don't be afraid. I'm still here." That long unheard girl. I broke down sobbing. After leaving the hospital, I rented my own place, wanting to cut ties with my past life, seeing no one. But Xiao Yige showed up the next day with his luggage. He insisted on living with me. I couldn't refuse him, so I had to agree. Lying beside him again, I covered my face, curling up towards a corner of the wall, trying desperately to avoid physical contact because I felt too dirty. Xiao Yige didn't give me the chance. He pulled me into his arms, holding me tightly. I was both terrified and greedy for this warmth. During that time, he took me out every day to his pig farm to buy groceries. I could only follow behind him with my head down, as if we had returned to 20 years ago. At home, he cooked for me, talked with me, or sometimes did nothing, just watched me with a gentle gaze. He would also tell me about his efforts over the years, the difficulties he encountered, how he had pulled through step by step to get where he was today. He never asked about my past, never mentioned Wang Yu. He just gently, little by little, pulled me out of the abyss. That day, he opened the long closed curtains. Sunlight streamed in, and I didn't shy away. I finally understood. The path I thought was right was actually right beside me, behind Xiao Yige. As long as I followed his steps, even with my head down, I wouldn't go wrong. I fell in love with him again. Or perhaps I had never stopped loving him for a single day. But the current me, dirty, ugly, how could I be worthy? September 2022. Depression and regret crashed over me like an uncontrollable tide. hitting me repeatedly. I attempted suicide for the second time. Watching the blood gush from my wrist, I thought, let it in like this. It's fine. But I didn't manage to die. Opening my eyes again, I saw Xiao Yi's eyes, swollen and red from crying. He started following me everywhere, never leaving my side. I had roared at him, broken down before him, poured my heart out to him. He just listened with a gentle smile, as if he could never hear enough of whatever I said. Yes, we've been together for 30 years, but we never stopped talking. There were endless things for us to talk about. December 2022, the first snow in Jiang City. That day, he insisted on taking me out, wanting to give me a surprise. I couldn't refuse him. It felt like we were back many years ago, in that winter snow, our first embrace. He held me tightly. I greedily absorbed the warmth from his body. Xiao Yiga suddenly let go of me. In that moment, I felt a sense of loss. He took out a red velvet box from his pocket and knelt on one knee. Amidst the swirling snow, he looked up at me, his gaze sincere and fervent. His expression was so earnest it was almost devout. Girl, we've known each other for 30 years. We walked together for 10, loved for 10, yet I never managed to say these words. Marry me. I was so choked up I could hardly breathe. How could someone like me, so soiled and unworthy, deserve his clean, pure love? He looked around and suddenly noticed the flower shop across the street. How can I propose without roses? Girl, wait for me. I grabbed his arm, not wanting him to go through the trouble. A car sped past with a roar. Everything before my eyes seemed to slow down, playing out frame by frame like a slideshow. Before I could even cry out, I was sent flying. When I came to, I saw Brother Xiao Yi nearby, lying prone on the ground, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. He kept struggling, crawling towards me with great difficulty, the red velvet ring box clutched tightly in his hand. My vision blurred with tears as I scrambled towards him on hands and knees. I desperately clamped my hands over his mouth, trying to staunch the relentless flow of blood, but despite everything, it still seeped through my fingers, dripping onto the snow like scattered petals of newly bloomed plum blossoms. Can someone help me? Brother Xiao Yi, please hold on. I wailed and begged, shouting his name, Brother Xiao Yi, pleading with him to be strong, pleading with him not to speak. He lifted his hand, gently tracing my eyebrows, my eyes, my face again and again. His eyes gazed at me, filled with adoration. They held doting affection, remorse, the love of our youth, the joy of our reunion, and the deepest love of this moment. He gently pulled my hand away and spoke his last request. Girl, live well. Live for me too. You can't be willful anymore, really. All our lives, we search for someone to talk to, someone who will listen, someone who understands. Such a simple wish, yet how much luck does it require to find? Love, I heard tell, was once here,